Welcome back. Griffon Show on the road again. Hickson Autoplex. HicksonHasIt.com. Check them out. If they can't take care of you folks, probably nobody can. But Dallas and the gang, they do a great job. 3 great locations, Monroe, Leesville, and, of course, right here in Alexandria where we're broadcasting today. Hickson Has It Hotline, as you know, been with us for a long time, and we do appreciate Dallas and them for all they've done with us and for our community and for the state of Louisiana. So we do appreciate that. Hey, before I go back to Taylor Barras getting ready to join us, I want to mention my good friends at Schumacher Homes. You know, because a gentleman that built my house actually works with Schumacher Homes, and it's the largest custom home builder. 3 great locations, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and Lafayette. But they can build a home anywhere in the state of Louisiana. Family-owned businesses. We love Louisiana family-owned businesses. This is a family-owned business. Didn't start here, but they've been here now, 11, 12, 13 years now. They've been building a lot of homes all over the country, but they're building them here in Louisiana. We love family stories. Schumacher Homes is a family story. And one thing about them, they've built over 18,000 homes. They've been going since 1992. No 2 Schumacher homes are the same, none, zero, zilch. You can get your own custom home made from Schumacher Homes, and all you have to do, folks, is contact them in the areas that I'm telling you, but they can build stuff anywhere. You can visit them in, like I said, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, and, of course, Shreveport, Louisiana, but they can build them anywhere. And here's what you do. Go to SchumacherHomes.com, SchumacherHomes.com, and remember, you want a good Louisiana business, you want a company that's respectable, you want a company right here in the great state of Louisiana, count on Schumacher Homes, folks. I met with the people. You're dealing with quality people that want to put you in their home, and they want to make sure that you're satisfied and happy, and they're running a big special right now. So check them out, SchumacherHomes.com, SchumacherHomes.com. You're going to be glad you did. All right, Dallas is back with me. Dallas, good to see you again already.
All right, sir.
All right, we got.
Hey, now the key is Taylor on the show for you, or is he on the show because I'm on the show? That's the question.
I tell you what we can do. We can ask him.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're the host, so he's going to say you.
No, I don't. It depends on if he needs you more than he needs me. Representative Taylor Barras joins us. Taylor, how you doing?
I'm doing good this morning, Moon. Thank you very much. And I'm on the call because both of y'all are there at one spot.
Oh, that was good. Good choice.
Oh my God, you must be a politician. All right, Taylor.
I most of the time don't like that word, but anyway.
Well, I understand. By the way, I don't like it all the time, but that's beside the point, Taylor. No, but anyway, look, thank you for being part of the program. I want you to go through yesterday. Revenue Estimating Conference, and I'm going to let Dallas join in too. Revenue Estimating Conference met. Now, I know that Cameron Henry said it for you a week or two ago, and it takes all 4 people on the estimating conference to recognize new money, by the way, not to put back, but to spend. So Cameron a week or two ago said, nope, we're not doing it. Let's wait a little longer. We know all prices are down a lot. We don't know about the economy yet. So, boom, we went through that. Cameron was beat up. Yesterday, you did the same thing and said, hey, no rush. The money's still there. After the first of the year or in the spring, we'll spend it. And, boom, they beat you up now. So talk about what are you doing and why you did what you did.
Well, and I appreciate the opportunity to share it because, I can't always depend on the press to tell the story accurately. They do their best, but we don't always get the details in. But this started back, before Thanksgiving when the Commissioner Dordan contacted me about considering setting a date for a revenue estimating conference meeting. We normally do have one in the fall before the end of the year. It is either where we adopt the initial forecast, which in this case we did in June because we finished the session. We had the revenue that needed to be recognized following the session. So the initial forecast that we're using today is the one that we adopted back in June. Well, as you know, July 1 is our fiscal year start. We're 4 months into that fiscal year, and that's the data we were working from. And I explained to the commissioner then that, 3 months or 4 months of data is just not giving me a great deal of comfort level that we're being able to establish a trend, whether it's personal and corporate income tax going up, at this point sales tax is going down, oil is all over the board, and there was not. It was going to be difficult, in my opinion, to say after 4 months of activity that a trend was being established on improved revenue. The rush to sure.
Go back. You said all prices all over the place. I understand that. Sales taxes are going down. Go through that again.
Yeah, the projection that the economists gave us in preparation for the November 27 meeting 2 weeks ago was that projections for sales tax beginning to decline. Now, the way they model, they have to take into consideration that July 1, 55 points of that penny sales tax fell off. So you have to adjust for that. But at the same time, both of them are projecting for the remainder of this fiscal year that there will be a slight decline in sales tax. And that was one of my questions yesterday. They have such a confidence in what corporate and personal income tax are doing. But normally the best measure of commercial activity in Louisiana hovers around what sales tax is doing. So they were estimating, great increases on personal income tax and corporate, and there's some reasons why for that. But at the same time, estimating a decline in sales tax. So that was a disconnect for me as well. But it's not a great decline, but a decline nonetheless. And of course, we're collecting 0.55 less than we were on June 30th.
Let me stop you one more time. So we know that all prices are down. If sales taxes are down, income taxes are up because, and I hate to be ugly, but they were stolen from the people that Donald Trump sent to us. And they really did. Correct. So that I understand that being up. But I don't know if that has to do with economic activity or that they were intercepted from the legislature. And I'm going to say the governor, because nothing was done to give it to us. So it went straight to them. So that increase right there it should concern people Correct. As well. It's not because we have economic progress going on.
Both in personal and in corporate, and I don't want to get too technical, but in personal income tax, we adjusted the Louisiana income tax withholding brackets last February when the Fed changes were made, which means from February on, we are withholding more state Louisiana tax from all of our paychecks. The changes that the federal government made hover around people who itemize their deductions. In Louisiana, that's been averaging about 25% of our taxpayers. So a fourth of our taxpayers are going to be affected by the changes that the Fed's made in itemizing. It also could include some people no longer needing to itemize because of the changes. So take that 25% and lower it. My point to the economist yesterday, and my question was, if we're withholding more Louisiana tax on everyone, but only something less than 25% are going to be affected by the changes, in my banker brain, I'm thinking we are over withholding on 75% of Louisiana citizens, which means come April, we're going to be sending out a bunch of refund checks. And is that baked into the model? Nah, I didn't get a clear answer on that, which told me probably not. On the corporate side, here's the suggestion I made, and I had one of the economists agree with me that the changes that we made in 15, 16, and 17 to corporate tax, we took haircuts on credits. We took haircuts on exemptions, trying to ease the pain wherever we could on small business, trying to be as effective as we could with big business, making them choose between an inventory tax and an industrial tax exemption. When you add all those things together, the changes we made in 15, 16, and 17, in my opinion, have finally hit these 18 return increase somewhat. They claim that the economy continues to increase somewhat. They claim it's the economy. I'm claiming it's because of legislative changes that were made, and we can't put a whole lot of oomph behind the economy at this point because I just don't think that's accurate. Not sitting in Acadiana where I am anyway. So on all of those numbers.
I agree.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I absolutely agree with you. And one of the reasons why I stayed on the program, a lot of times when Moon has a guest, I leave and get off the show. And, I told Moon, I asked him, actually, I don't tell him anything. It doesn't work anyway. But I actually had asked him, I said, I really would like to be on the show. I personally wanted to on air, publicly just tell you thank you. I praised you a moment ago before you came on the air that that it is so refreshing to have somebody who is fiscally responsible at the way they look at the money being generated and spent by our state. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm telling you that from an honest, humble perspective that I appreciate it. I'm so proud that you stood up yesterday and said, man, let's look at all of this in these numbers instead of just looking at the tilted way of trying to view it so we can go spend more. And I know there are thousands and thousands of people, including the 4 that listen to Moon Show. Just kidding.
I knew I was going to get shot down through this speech, but I didn't know.
You were waiting. No, but there are thousands of people that listen to his show, thousands and thousands, thousands more across the state of Louisiana that what I call the silent majority that absolutely believe what you're doing and what you've done is correct. And although the loudmouths will chastise you and berate you and be ugly to you and they will down you, the majority of the people that are paying the money that you're helping to spend in the correct way are so appreciative that you're fiscally responsible. Thank you. Anyway, keep going, but I do agree with what you're saying as well.
I really appreciate that, Dallas. And I'll tell you, when you look back at what we have done over the last 3 years, and some of it I didn't like necessarily either, but as you work through Cliff and the way to close it and encouraging reform and encouraging spending budget reform as well, and you're met with resistance at every path, when you finally get down to what is able to be spent and what do we really need in revenue to run Louisiana government, I think we have reached our max. When I compare our state general fund to other state general funds across the country, we are spending more than we're getting back in a product. And I don't mean that critical of any particular agency. But when you try and make that comparison, it is difficult to make because of the level of spending that we have. We do have a high poverty level. We have a little bit more of social requirements than some states have, and we try and compare. But even when we find the states that we can compare to, Alabama is probably one of our best examples, population-wise, poverty-wise. Their model is different. Their state general fund is different. Their buckets of revenue are different. They don't have a TOPS program. So it's hard to do an apples to apples, but when you have been what we've been through for the last 3 years, we finally have an opportunity to continue to work on the reform while we're careful on how we spend what we do have. I will tell you another one that's going to come up, and it'll probably come up in the session. I ran a bill go ahead.
Just hold your thought because I got to take this break. We'll come back. Taylor Barras, Speaker of the House, Dallas Hickson. We'll be right back. More to come. Don't go nowhere, folks, because you're not going to get this in the Morning Advocate or the Gannett newspaper. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show, sitting here at Hickson Autoplex with our good friend Dallas Hickson, Hickson Autoplex. Hickson has it. And Taylor Barras, Speaker of the House, my special guest, who said yesterday to the Revenue Estimating Conference, no, not now. We're not going to do it now, and we're not going to spend any more money because we've already spent enough. Taylor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you wanted to finish something and talk about something specifically that you talked about, so let's go ahead and go back to that.
Sure. What I was going to reference is, as we're determining an appropriate spending level for the state of Louisiana, we have set in the Constitution an expenditure limit. It's a calculation that's the Commissioner of Administration is required to do every January before the executive budget is presented as to what the maximum amount of spending can be allowed in the upcoming fiscal year. The way the Constitution reads is there's a growth in personal income calculation that's done every year, whatever that 3-year average of growth in personal income is. That's what the state is allowed to increase the expenditure limit. The reasoning behind that is, as personal income grows, there's a reasonable expectation that you could grow the spending if the revenue allows it. The problem with that is, and you saw it in great ways after Hurricane Katrina, is with the level of spending that happens, you have a lot of money churning through after a disaster like that, and the Constitution does allow us with a 2/3 vote to manually lower that expenditure limit, because adding the growth year after year after year, compounding, it can get the expenditure limit way out of whack. Exceeds way more than we can raise in revenue to do it. But the temptation is, when you have an expenditure limit, like last year was $14.5 billion, and we're debating a state general fund at the $9 billion level, you got this big gap of expectation that departments can ask for their wish list, the administration can put in a wish list, and then when they present it, say, we now have a cliff and we need to raise revenue because we need to meet these requests. Well, that temptation exists when you let that expenditure limit run out of control like that. So last year I took the manual route. We got a 2/3 vote in both chambers to lower the expenditure limit. It's now down to the $13.5 billion range. With us approaching a $10 billion state general fund, you don't have a whole lot of wiggle room, and we're gonna see what that calculation looks like in January. But when you have a surplus that you still need to determine how that's going to be spent, and we'll debate that when we get there in April, you have this revenue that the governor was wanting to recognize at this point, and then he's going to throw, the potential of a teacher pay raise on top of that, which is $100+ million. I think real quick we're going to be bumping up against an expenditure limit, and that's the purpose of it being there. And I just wanted to mention that because as we continue to work toward reform on expenditure control, the expenditure limit, and I have a constitutional amendment that I'm going to recommend that we tweak that calculation even tighter to make sure that we're following what truly is happening in the Louisiana economy before we increase a spending limit. Things like is population going down? Is our revenue actually growing? Why would we increase the forecast or the expenditure limit if revenues aren't growing? If personal income happens to grow, and I don't want to get too technical on you, but included in that personal income number are government payments. So things like Social Security, retirement, Medicaid are included in personal income growth. Well, and I know those things don't change when the economy falls apart. They stay the same. So all of our paychecks, and we lose over time, and we're making less money, but the government payments stay the same amount regardless of what the economy does. So you have a personal income number, in my opinion, that's a little inflated, and I think that's what we've been basing the expenditure limit on, and I'm going to make a move to try and tweak that considerably to have 2 or 3 other factors be considered before we increase that expenditure limit. I just mentioned that because it's such an important reform on how we control expenditures going forward, and it requires some discipline before you put a wish list out there on what you want to do. And I made the comment yesterday at the REC meeting as it relates to teachers. My wife is one of them. Although she is retired, she would not benefit from a teacher pay raise. I want to qualify that. But at the same time, I think a lot of folks in the legislature will support a reasonable teacher pay raise. I told the governor when he mentioned it to me several months ago, that would probably be the case, but we needed to be sure how we were paying for it. It needed to be reliable. Certainly it needed to be recurring. And once we determine that, then we would debate on what the level needs to be and how it would be distributed.
Till, I got to cut you off. Thank you very much. We'll do it again very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Moon. Great talking to you.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.